Okay, so you sent us a bunch of research about hairy root culture,
Yeah.
this plant biotechnology technique.
Okay.
And looking through it,
Mm-hmm.
there are, definitely some big advantages to this
Right.
and a ton of different applications.
Yeah.
So what we really want to do is understand why this method is so valuable
Okay.
and what possibilities it really unlocks
Sounds good.
for our listeners.
All right. So hairy root cultures, well, they're kind of like plant root systems
Right.
that grow
Yeah.
really rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually are grown by introducing genetic material
Wow.
from this bacteria called Agrobacterium rhizogenes.
Okay.
And it's naturally able to kind of insert its genetic material into plants.
Okay.
And so what you end up with is a root that grows really fast.
Right.
And it can be cultivated efficiently in a lab setting.
Yeah. So essentially, we're kind of speeding things up
Exactly.
by doing this.
Big time.
So if you're listening,
Yeah.
and you're exploring ways to get natural compounds more efficiently,
Yeah.
or you're curious about sustainable biotech,
Mm,
or just cutting edge research,
right.
this was for you.
For sure.
Okay. So let's talk about what makes these hairy roots so special.
Okay.
And I think the research really highlights
Yeah.
how fast they grow.
Mm-hmm.
These fast growth rates.
Right.
So practically, what kind of impact does that have?
So for you, what it means is basically we're speeding up the process big time.
Okay.
Like you're taking something that could take years to
Okay.
cultivate
Yeah.
and basically shrinking it down to weeks or months
Right.
in a lab setting.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And there's this term,
Yeah.
hormone autotrophy.
Right.
So I know it's technical,
Yeah.
but what does that mean for the whole process?
So think about it this way.
Okay.
Typical plant cultures,
Yeah.
you got to add hormones to them
Yeah.
to help them grow.
Right.
Hairy roots don't need that.
Wow. So they're self-sufficient.
Exactly. They're self-sufficient.
Okay.
And what that means for you is it simplifies everything.
Right.
It
Right.
makes it cheaper
Right.
because you don't have to add those substances.
Right.
And it's also more reliable
Yep.
because you're not introducing
Yeah.
extra
Variability. Yeah.
with all those extra hormones and stuff.
Okay, cool. So, and then the research also talks about
Yeah.
high biomass yield
All right.
and how they do in these bioreactors.
Mhm.
So this seems like a really promising approach
Yeah. It is.
when you need large amounts of this stuff.
It is because they're really good at growing in these liquid cultures
Okay.
in the bioreactors.
Mhm.
And what that means is that for you, we can generate large amounts of these roots.
Yeah.
Um,
And the compounds they make
right. And the
Okay.
compounds they make.
much more efficiently
Yeah.
than if we were to rely on,
Traditional agriculture.
traditional agriculture.
Not exactly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this next one was really interesting to me.
Okay.
Genetic and biochemical stability.
Right.
What does that mean?
So it means that for you,
Yeah.
they're reliable,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
unlike some other systems
Mhm.
that can change over time,
Okay.
hairy roots, they
Yeah.
kind of maintain
Yeah.
their genetic makeup,
Okay.
and they keep producing the same compounds
Wonderful.
over and over again.
So it's consistent.
Very consistent. And
Right.
that's super important
Yeah.
for industrial applications,
Yeah.
because you want to know you're going to get the same thing
Exactly.
every time you're producing it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so taking this from the lab
Okay.
to a larger scale, the research talks about easier scale up.
Right.
And that seems like a huge benefit
Yeah.
compared to like trying to grow a ton of these plants.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, think about it this way.
Okay.
If you're out in a field,
Mm-hmm.
you got weather,
Okay.
you got pests,
Yeah.
you got soil conditions,
Mm-hmm.
but in the lab,
Yeah.
in a bioreactor,
Right.
you control all of that.
Okay.
So for you, that means better quality
Mm-hmm.
and more yield.
Consistently.
Consistently. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we've got speed, efficiency, stability,
Right.
easier scaling.
Mm-hmm.
But what are they actually producing?
Okay.
That's so valuable.
Well, the research you sent
Yeah.
talks about this production of secondary metabolites,
Yeah.
and that's really
Yeah. What are those?
what these are compounds that the plants make naturally
Okay.
for all sorts of reasons,
Okay.
and a lot of them are really useful for us.
Okay.
And they give some good examples in the research.
Okay. Like what?
Well, like alkaloids,
Okay.
like berberine,
Yeah.
and scopolamine, and those have a bunch of pharmaceutical uses.
Yeah. And what's cool is that
Yeah.
hairy roots can sometimes make these
Yeah.
at much higher levels
Way higher
than you would find in the plant.
than in the actual plant. That's amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
And then there are terpenoids,
Right.
like ginsenosides
Mhm.
and stuff that makes artemisinin,
Yeah.
which is that anti-malarial drug.
Yeah, a really important one.
Yeah.
And for you, that means
Yeah.
we might be able to get medicines
Right.
you up more efficiently
Yeah.
and in higher amounts.
Using this technique.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And there's also,
And there's more
yeah.
like flavonoids and other phenolics like resveratrol, which has all those health benefits.
Right. It's amazing.
It really is.
And so it's not just producing stuff, but the research also talks about
It does.
how they're being used
Mhm.
in these phytoremediation studies.
To clean up the environment.
That's right.
So not only can this produce things that are useful for us, but it can help
It can clean up.
clean up the environment.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
And they're also really important
Yeah.
for genetic engineering
That's right.
and metabolic engineering research.
Yeah. It's a good platform
Yeah.
to study genes
Mhm.
and potentially make new compounds.
That are even better than what we have now.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing.
It's a versatile tool.
Yeah. So for the listener,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway?
The takeaway is
Yeah.
this is a sustainable way
Okay.
to use plants
Okay.
to get what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's efficient
Yeah.
and we can control it.
Right.
And it helps us get around the
Right.
limitations of the old ways of doing things.
Right.
And really it's all about, finding those valuable compounds
Mhm.
and helping the environment and
Mhm.
moving science forward.
Yeah.
All of that's good for you.
So considering the speed, the stability,
Right.
the adaptability,
Yeah.
what other things do you think
That's a good question.
we might be able to get
It really is.
in the future using this approach?
Yeah. Makes you think
Yeah. Really makes you think.
about what's possible.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us
Of course.
and exploring this with us.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.